Oh my God. I almost had a perfect intro. What is up, everybody? Oh, there we go. What is up, everyone? Welcome into this week's episode of Sundays with Sin. It is episode 11. And today I have my dear friend Connor, who is the head operating person for it's Magic
Shadow Magic Gems and
Shadow
Jewelry.
Shadow Magic Gems and Jewelry. Yes. So Connor and I have known each other for uh shit. When did we met before I had Tobias?
I
My
think so,
oldest was
yeah.
it? So Tobias would be 7. So I've known you for 8 years.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
man, it
And
has
then
been
I've
a long time. I
known
didn't even realize it had been that long.
I don't it's either right before I got pregnant with Tobias or like right after I had him. So some because I
Yeah, I
know it
think
was
it was right
before
before.
you had your son. I know that.
Yep.
So yeah, probably we're going on like 8 years. And then I've known oh shit, I know them for God, seventh grade. Seventh
Oh,
grade
yeah, you've
with your
known
wife.
Esmeralda forever.
I've known Esmeralda since childhood. Okay, we go
Oh,
way
yeah.
fucking back. So, how did you? First of all, tell us a bit. What exactly is wire wrapping?
So it's a type of jewelry production that actually started in ancient Egypt. So that's a fun little fact about wire wrapping.
Okay.
But as opposed to most jewelry that you see that would be considered fabrication jewelry, where you do like soldering and stuff like that, this is all cold fusion. So it all just starts out as straight wires, and I bend them, twist them, weave them, layer them into pendants. So it does have a little more limiting factors than your traditional jewelry does, but it's got
Yeah.
some really cool roots, and a lot of really talented jewelers get started by wire wrapping. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with it.
And you've been doing this for how long?
Man, probably like at least at least 6 years at this point. I think I'm at least
Yeah.
at like 6 or 7 years. There have been times where I like haven't wire wrapped for quite a while, so I've definitely had like gaps in that time. It's just schedule, energy level, not always able to wire wrap all the time. So I've gone like some periods of months without doing it in that time period. But I think I started right around 6 or 7 years ago, and I've come a long way from what I made back then.
Yeah. Now, Esme has also done wire wrapping too, right? So like it's kind of like
Oh yeah.
not as much. I know that they really enjoyed it.
So
But it
they're
hasn't
actually what
been
got me started kind of. She started
yeah.
before I did.
Yeah.
Or they, excuse me. So they
You're
started
fine.
before I did, where we both have always loved gems and crystals and stuff like that. And we started collecting them for a while, and then they started wire wrapping. We both saw a couple of our friends and some other people that wire wrapped and wanted to try it. They started off really kind of took the lead there for a while, but then they've been focusing more on their crocheting right now. So I kind of just stuck with wire wrapping, and they're in the crochet game. She makes some really awesome crochet stuff, or they,
Yeah.
excuse me.
I've seen it. No, you're fine. I have seen the crochet that they've made too. And I'm like, this is fucking cool, dude. Like, what can you make me? You know what I
Right.
mean? Real quick, I'm getting a little bit of feedback on my audio on your end. If you want to turn me down just like a smidge, it's
Yeah.
like it's like your phone is just yelling at us right now.
Is that
Not
a
too
little
much,
better?
like so you can still hear me. Yeah, that sounds a little bit better, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're good. We're
Perfect.
good. We're good. We're good.
Awesome.
So so you also I remember that you had started working at an actual jeweler store, right?
Yeah.
So you're a jeweler. So what do you do there? What does your job entitle there entail?
I work for like a major like corporate style jewelry retailer, and I'm the office manager over there.
Hmm.
So I do sell too, obviously, like I'm still out there on the floor selling jewelry, but my main concern and job title entails like handling all of the repairs, making sure what's going on with the repairs needs to get done, inventory, like taking in and shipping out inventory, keeping track of inventory counts and stuff like that. So, as management would call it, it's kind of the boo boo work that most of the salespeople don't want to do, but it's kind of more I guess, more catered to what I want to do eventually, because eventually I want to be a bench jeweler and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of smarter for me to work on the back end of things rather than the front end of things, because that's where ultimately I want to be.
Okay, gotcha. Now you had was that the only piece that you had there, or did you have another one that you were going to show?
Yeah, I've only got two right now. I've been kind of buried with customs recently. That was the bigger one I did. And this is a little, the camera can see it, a little watermelon theme piece I did.
Oh, okay.
I really like using channel settings with small little 2 millimeter gems in a lot of my work. That's kind of what I'm starting to get known for a little bit.
Nice.
I've definitely put a lot of work into making my channels nice.
It's a very interesting line of work. I'm not gonna lie. You wouldn't think that that's a thing until you get like until you learn about it, and then you're like all of a sudden you see
Oh
it
yeah.
everywhere. Because once I found out that you guys were doing it, then I started getting ads like all over my phone of like custom pieces and wire wrapping, and like everybody's buying it, and it's like a new fad. And I'm like, none of you bitches started doing this shit until I saw it like one time from my friends, and now everybody and
Oh
their mother is
yeah.
doing it.
You're in the wire wrap algorithm now. Yeah, it's definitely gotten a
Yeah,
lot more popular over the last few years. Like even whenever I started wire wrapping, it was gaining a lot of popularity. So I'm
yeah.
definitely by no means one of the pioneers of it at all. I mean, there have been people making awesome wire wraps since like the 90s and even the 80s and stuff like that. It just hasn't, I mean, in general, the whole gemstone and jewelry market has kind of exploded within the last few years with the advent of Facebook and social media and stuff
Mhm.
like that, where like it's not only wealthy or high end people that are collecting gemstones and jewelry now, but it's more so people in, all walks of life and all, ranges of wealth are kind of getting into it. So that's why wire wrapping is good too, because I mean, you can get a lot more out of most like $300 to $500 wire wrap pieces than you could ever get for $300 to $500 at a jewelry store. So I think that's why that's kind of exploding, because a lot more people are getting into jewelry, but not everybody wants to pay, $2,000 for a piece of jewelry that's that big. Whereas like,
Yeah, I sure as fuck don't.
$1,200 can get you a piece of jewelry like that big.
Yeah, I sure as fucking not spend that kind of money. I
Yeah.
don't even like jewelry
And
that
then
much. I do
and
know
then
that.
different gems too, because diamonds are overrated. Diamonds are so overrated, and people like getting different minerals around the world, and now
Well, I've
different minerals are attainable because of social media and
well,
stuff like that.
I've
People from
noticed that
overseas
like
have access to us.
the newer kind of fashion statement now is like even engagement rings and wedding bands aren't so much diamonds anymore. You see sapphires and emeralds and rubies,
Oh
and you're
yeah.
seeing, and then you see other ones that are custom pieces that are like, I saw a girl at amethyst styled, like it was amethyst was like the main stone in her engagement ring, and I was like, that's my favorite. I want that. You know what I mean? I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, that is, I want, I don't know where you got, I want that. But
Yeah.
like how you said, like diamonds are overrated. I mean, I feel like that's really valid though, because that's not even people don't go for diamond rings as much anymore, or you don't see that as often for engagement rings and wedding bands too. I mean, shit, most people prefer to get one of those silicone bands rather
Yep.
than spend money on fucking, the I don't even know the carat sizes, whatever they are. You do this, I don't, but
Average for a diamond engagement ring is like a 1 carat or something like that.
there you go. There you go. Yeah. See, I speaking of the gem like the amethyst, I think if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of what you guys were in before you started doing the wrapping, wasn't it? You were buying stones like left and right,
Yeah.
and you had a
Oh yeah.
shit ton of them out all the time. And there was one post where I saw in this specific amethyst piece spoke to me, and I messaged Esme and I was like, I want that. I was like, I need that right there. And I was supposed to get it ready for the podcast so I can show it, and I have no idea where I put it. Now I gotta go find it later. But I remember I saw the post, and it was like the one like right in the middle, and I messaged them and I was like, that's it right there for me. Wrap it however the fuck you want to. I was like, but I want that specific stone. And
Hell
it's like one
yeah.
of my favorite pieces.
Yeah, if it
How
wasn't
did
for them, I probably wouldn't be making jewelry right now, because, like I said, they're what got it all started. I always loved buying gems and collecting crystals and stuff like that, but they're definitely the ones that got us started on that.
Yeah.
and it's grown a lot since. Like it's really crazy because I never really think about like how long I've been doing this sometimes and how much I've grown since then. But I used to get excited about buying little parcels of smoky quartz that big, and now I'm ordering kilos of stuff at a time whenever I can, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've noticed because I'm one of the people who have seen your growth from the start, right? So like I was around when you guys first started this. So I saw those first shipments. I saw those first posts. I saw those first wraps. And then now I'm seeing it now where you guys are, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is like a night and day difference.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's kind of crazy comparing like some of your first pieces to where you are now, and you don't realize the vast difference that there is in the technique that you guys have formed, or like the quality or the products or the quantity that you're doing too. It's
Oh yeah.
really how did you guys get into stones to start with? Was that an Esme thing too, or have you always been interested in stones?
So I've always loved stones. So
You
the
guys have to
main
excuse me. I'm losing my voice. I know I sound really raspy right now. It's getting so difficult to speak.
so like the main three things that got me into stones was my two favorite video games growing up was Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. And
Yes, I play
anybody
those
that's
on
familiar with
stream.
those, yeah, anybody that's
Yeah.
familiar with those, the main goals of those games is
Get the
collecting crystal
gems.
gems.
Yep.
Anytime we would go to a hobby shop or anything like that, I always wanted a rock or something like that. But the jewelry aspect of it, whenever I was like 6 or 8 years old or something like that, my family took a vacation to Key West, Florida, and we went to the Mel Fisher Treasure Museum in Key West, Florida.
Okay.
So it's this guy in, I guess, the 80s. He was looking for treasure off the coast of Florida and stuff like that. And he found a sunken treasure ship from, I want to say, like the 1600s, maybe the 1400s, but I want to say 1600s. Spanish treasure ship called the Atocha that was just loaded with gold coins and jewelry and stuff like that. And, I have like this photographic memory of in the museum seeing this like long it was like a giant emerald, like maybe that big in a gold setting on a chain, and it's just burned into my memory of that's what like planted the jewelry seed for me.
Wow. My kids actually are really big into emeralds right now because of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Nice. Yep.
They're really big. So my daughter actually, I'll send you a picture of it. And I wanted to talk to Esme about getting like a little like kit. Have you guys ever do you guys make like kits, like starter kits for people and do like easy wire wrapping at home kind of thing, or like jewelry they can make with jewels or
I've
gems?
done that a couple times. I definitely could do that.
I think I'm gonna reach out to you guys about getting something set up. Her birthday's coming up, and we got her a rock kit actually. Um, shit. Negan was just shopping. We were just out one day, and Negan decided to buy like Legos for Tobias, and then Adeline got like a gem set, and so she
Yeah.
actually had to take the gems and put them in the tumblers and go through the process. It was like a 3 week process to actually like get the shit off of it to cut it and shine it the way it's supposed to be. And it
Yeah.
took us, I swear to you, it was like 3 weeks, like a month process. Um,
Jeez.
but she loves it, right? So it's like putting the rock tumbler and you put the little solution in there with water and you just let it sit. And I had it sitting in my laundry room. That shit was louder than my fucking dryer. Okay. That thing was
Oh yeah.
loud.
It takes a lot
Um
of power too.
it does. It does. We had to hook it up to a specific outlet because the other outlet just wouldn't cut it for the power that it needed, I guess. So we had to
Yeah.
hook it up to the same outlet that our washer and dryer hooked up to actually. Like that was the only outlet in the house that worked. And because the noise too, we had to keep it in a room where like, okay, we're used to noise coming from here. Um, but I want to get something put together for her in regards to that because she is really big in gems and jewels and like really cool rocks. We'll go on nature
Yeah.
hikes. We just found actually natural turquoise in Merrimack Springs out in Missouri.
Nice.
So we went
That's
out. Yeah,
awesome.
I'll send you a picture. It's actually really cool. Like, I don't know how common it is to find the turquoise out there, but it was literally like the only piece that we saw. And it was just sitting there kind of like in the water. Negan saw it. And so we went ahead and we
That's
grabbed it
awesome.
and like we're looking at it and we're researching. I'm like, this is fucking like raw turquoise. I'm like, this is legit. Like, this is so cool. I've like You have to go to the store to buy this shit.
I was gonna say, I bet you that's beautiful. I don't think I've ever heard of turquoise from Missouri. So I mean, if that's turquoise, that's a nice piece right there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Well,
crazy.
maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. So maybe I'll have to send it to you and be like, hey, professional,
Yeah,
tell me what this is.
I could give you an educated guess. I'm the guy where my friends are always sending me pictures of rocks. Like, hey, what
I
do you think
will.
this is?
I'm gonna
I
send you a
usually have
picture
a
of it
pretty
because
good guess.
I mean I look at it compared to other turquoise and it's like almost identical. You know what I mean? So I'm just
Oh
like,
yeah.
but again, I don't know shit for fuck about rocks or
I mean,
gems
mineral
or any
wise,
of
it's definitely possible. I wouldn't say that it's impossible by any means.
Yeah. Yeah. So, excuse me. That was a big cough. I apologize. Hi, Rockstar. Welcome to the chat. So, as far as the aspect of like the wire wrapping and the jewels and the gems and all that got started, where do you make the most sales? Do you do in-person sales? Do you do over the phone like online sales? Where do you find the most traction for your creations?
It's really a mix, honestly, because for a while there, my online sales were pretty good, and
Yeah.
I mean, for me anyway, and I think for most people, it takes a good it takes a good while to build a good rapport in the online community. Because while you'll always get those buyers that are like, just kind of random and will just buy something they like out there, like the actual collectors and some of like, even the resellers that you want to be able to access, it takes a while for you to build like a reputation of somebody who's trustworthy to spend that kind of money with, because there's a lot of money in the industry, and there's a lot of people too that get into this industry thinking that it's just going to be their get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things where if you don't have a genuine love for it, the industry will eat you and spit you out,
Yeah. I can
because
imagine.
it takes real passion for it and real like desire to want to be good at this and be somebody who's trustworthy to actually be good at it. And I'm definitely not the best at it by any means. I'm still very, very, very small scale in comparison to the online market. But recently, with the economy being what it is now and all that, my sales have like absolutely tanked. I know it's not like that for everybody, but me personally, my online sales have absolutely tanked since the economy started going
Really?
in shitter. Yeah.
Wow. So but you do in-person sales too, right? So you
Yeah.
said that you actually do like the flea market here in town. Do you do the one
Yeah.
here in town by the fairgrounds?
Yeah. I haven't been doing
'Cause I
it
saw you
recently
at one of
because,
them when we were doing it for
yeah.
Third Eye. I was actually there
Yeah.
setting up for Ashton, and I had seen you guys there. You had set up for your gems and stuff back then. Do you still
Yeah.
do those there?
So recently, I haven't been doing the flea market so much. I still do the American Legion flea market whenever they have theirs. They have theirs like 2 or 3 times a year. But the Belleville flea market, it's just hard to consistently get in there with my work schedule and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
working retail, they obviously always want me there on Saturdays and or Sundays.
Yeah, especially
So
the holidays coming up, I can imagine,
yeah,
especially with Christmas. That's probably a big one for jewelry.
and then it's really kind of cutthroat at the flea market too, because like the Belleville flea market, there are
Hmm.
more people that want spots than there are spots. And especially this time of year, like, I don't want an outdoor spot whenever it's this cold. If I'm
Yeah.
not indoors, I'd rather not be there.
Yeah.
But then whenever you are indoors, if you miss 1 month, you lose your spot and somebody fills in that spot very quickly, and spots inside open up very rarely. And then,
Yeah.
it's a space issue too, because if I just get 1 or 2 spots outside, I can set up like probably a total of 6 tables out there. But one spot inside, it's just an 8 foot table. So whenever you have as much like inventory as I do, you have to really pick and choose like what you want to bring out there whenever you only have an 8 foot table space. But
Gotcha.
so recently, I've been vending more like music shows and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
my friend
we talked about
Micah
that.
runs Sage Town Productions. Shout out Sage Town Productions. They've been uh, they've been running some raves here in Belleville at the Nunnery and stuff like that, and I think they're getting involved with some of the shows out in St. Louis too. So those have been pretty successful for me, and I think it's a really good environment too for the kind of stuff I do, because wire rappers and gem people are really kind of ingrained into the into the electronic music community.
The
So, it's a
EDM
good place for my stuff.
stoners. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
kind of like it's a big, when you think of somebody who would like a wire wrapping or like a jewel piece like that, you're like, they definitely took it up. Like they
Oh
they
yeah.
definitely like this music. They smoke this stuff. Like yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely. I figured that would probably be a really good like venue for you and your
Yeah.
creations that you have there.
And it's a little more fun for me too. I love going to raves and the kind of party environment every once in a while, so that makes the event a little more fun for me too, and it
I've
makes me a little more
never
outgoing.
I've never actually been to a rave. I did go to Tut back in the day. Do you remember
Nice.
Tut? Is that even still a thing anymore?
I honestly don't know. Like, I vaguely know who you're talking about, but I do know who you're
So
talking
it
about.
was it was Turn Up Tuesdays and it was called Tut and it was out in
Oh,
Missouri.
Turn Up
Dude,
Tuesdays. That's
I
it. Uh huh.
listen. So quick little side note here. Okay, sidebar on this.
Oh,
This
geez.
was back in my experimenting days when I did this before I became a mother. So if any of my exes are on here getting ready to like pin this against me, it was before I became a mom. Um, but I remember going out there and it was like a an abandoned building of some sort and there was like three different
Yep.
levels to this shit. And there was like one section where people were like playing video games. There's another section downstairs where it was like in a basement and it was like a dance floor and people were doing like the finger stuff with like the lights on their fingers. Like
Uh
then
huh.
there's like this like hole, literally hole in the wall where you would walk outside and there's people doing like um the
Big
light
fire and
thingies
stuff.
and spinning fire and then spinning lights and shit out there and they're all like
Oh
high on
yeah.
all sorts of fucking drugs and drunk obviously and um there was a friend who tried getting me to try ecstasy, and I was like, I am not doing that right now, and I am not doing it here. Haven't done it. But I
Not in the
definitely was not
dilapidated
doing
St.
it
Louis
then. I
building.
was
No.
like, I am too scared to do anything other than maybe have this beer right now. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, unfamiliar territory is not usually a good time to experiment with new
No,
things.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So,
Yeah,
what kind
there are
of
some spots in St. Louis they have shows at where you look at the parking lot, you're like, man, I gotta get out from my car and get inside the building. This is a little sketchy, but I
yeah,
guess that's what underground
then
raves
there's
are. That
then there's other places where like you look around and you're like, yeah, how quick can I back up out of this parking lot? Yeah.
hmm
I've been to a lot of those where I'm like, maybe I just am a scary bitch. Maybe I'm not as hard as I thought I once was. Now I'm
But the
terrified of my
danger
own
makes it
fucking
fun.
shadow.
I mean, that's why we do it. Being scared in a parking lot every once in a while makes you feel alive.
I don't know, man. Not anymore. Maybe back in the day.
Not
Maybe for sure
no,
back in
my
the
scared in
day.
parking lot days are over.
For now, it's like no. I don't. I get scared going to Aldi, man. I don't even want to go to Aldi anymore. Where I'm just like,
Yeah,
what exactly can I have dashed to my house right now so I don't have to leave?
that's why I really love the shows that Sagetown runs, because like I've honestly never felt safer at a rave before than the ones that Sagetown runs at the Nunnery, and it really sucks
Yeah,
that like they just had a city council meeting because Belleville's never cool, so they're trying to mess
yeah.
with them for running shows there a little bit, and I think they're still trying to get that figured out. But it's really messed up that like they're messing with them, because again, compared to any rave I've been, especially the ones out in St. Louis, like I've never felt more safe at a rave than I do at those raves.
I might have to check one out one night. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Um, what are some of the coolest raves that you've been to where you've sold like? So are you? Describe the area to me. Like, give me a scenario of like how the rave is, how you set up, like where are you at in this, and where do you like showcase your stuff? Are you the only person selling things? Is it kind of like a concert where like there's a whole little section of like merchandise? Like,
Yeah.
how does that work?
So that's usually how it is, because I'm somewhat new to vending raves. Like I've only been vending raves for the last year, so I've only vended a couple at the Nunnery in Belleville, and then I've vended one out in St. Louis. And that's basically how it is. Like they'll have a little section off to the side where you'll have a bunch of different vendors there. Like you'll have some people selling crystals, wire wraps, paintings, hoops and stuff, different works of art. But probably honestly, my coolest vending experience, that was my favorite, was vending at at Reconnection Festival earlier this year. That was
Okay.
really cool because I didn't, at music festivals they'll have what's called Shakedown Street, where like all the vendors and stuff like that will set up, but vendor fees for festivals are a little bit expensive and it's like quite a rigorous process to actually get in there. So I just freelanced a little bit and I kind of set my camp up and out by the campsites on like the main drag of lot, and I just set up my easy up and set up my tables right next to my tent. So anybody walking to the other campsite or to the
Oh,
water from Shakedown had to pass by me, or anybody walking from there towards Shakedown had to pass by me.
oh, that's
So
pretty cool.
that was a really fun weekend of like, whenever I was at my booth, it was, even whenever people weren't buying, it was just fun, like everybody coming and hanging out and looking at stuff and just,
Yeah.
being together with the festival experience. It was that was probably my favorite.
Yeah. Do you think this is something that you can actually turn to, like you plan on making like a full-time career out of, or is this just more of a hobby that makes you extra cash on the side?
So right now it's definitely a hobby that makes me extra cash on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've got like, I've got a lot of different options in front of me of what I can cement down on doing in the future. Like, I think if I keep, putting enough time and money into this, I think it can definitely grow into something where I can make it a full time thing. And especially if I can get
Yeah.
into more curated events too. Like, if I can get, like, I just got invited to vend a gem show here. It's ran by the people that do Midwest Crystal Fest, I think December 8th, 9th, and 10th. So I'm going to try to go out there because the one problem I have with making sales on some stuff is that, I try to get stuff for everybody. Like, I've got everything
Mm-hmm.
from crystals that are a couple dollars for, newer collectors and kids and stuff like that. But then I've got stuff that, pretty much belongs in somebody's safe if they buy it. And, that's kind of more the stuff I like to collect myself and like to have in is the more niche high end collector's minerals. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
cutting stones too recently, the past like 6 or 7 months. And that's the stuff I like to cut too, because, I just like seeing stuff and dealing with stuff that you don't really see every day and that some
Talk
people haven't heard
about,
of.
yeah, talk about cutting stones. So what exactly what's the process of cutting stones?
So,
It's probably exactly what it is what I'm saying. You're cutting stones. I
yeah.
gathered that much. But like talk me through that a bit. Tell me a bit about how you do this.
So it starts out as a piece of rough. Like, for example, here's like a piece of rough. This
Okay.
is actually some pretty cool rare stuff. This is azurite and malachite petrified wood from Arizona. They sent a sample of this to a lab and it came back like 96% pure copper. So
Oh.
this is like a rough piece of it. This is it dug straight out of the ground. It's actually a fossilized tree that got replaced with copper. You can see like the kind of tree bark texture right there.
Oh, that's cool.
So then you take a piece of rough, you cut it in, something like that. You would cut into a smaller, more manageable piece to make what's called a cabochon, which is a stone with like a flat bottom and a domed top.
Okay.
And so this is actually a couple cabochons of that material that I cut.
Oh,
So I took it,
wow.
shaped it on wheels of different grits. You start out at
So
like
how many
80 or
pieces
90
can you
grit.
get from that one piece of rough? How many pieces can you get out of that?
Oh, from that piece of rough, if I cut it all into small stones this size, I mean, I could probably get like 7 to 12 stones out of this, depending on
Oh,
how big I
wow.
want my stones to be.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You would never
The
think,
average
looking at
rule of,
the cut piece, you would never think that that came from something that looked like what you just showed us.
yeah, really darkened up. Like you can see a little bit of the wood texture in there, but because
Yeah,
it's
you
so copper
can.
heavy, it's almost like you can't see it that well on camera, but it's got like a
No,
metallic blue sheen to it.
you'll have to send me pictures of it so I can link that into the videos and stuff.
Yeah, here's some stuff I cut today. This is a banger right here.
Oh, that is so cool. It like almost has like a clear, what is that?
This is a rutilated quartz from Brazil. So
Oh, that's
it's
pretty
it's
cool.
like a water clear quartz and it's got a bunch of gold rutile needles going through it.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I'm super proud of this one. It came out really nice.
Yeah, it looks nice.
So yeah, it's you start out at usually like an 80 and there it's a machine that has like a bunch of wheels on it and the
Yeah.
wheels are impregnated with like diamond paste at different grits. So you start out at like 60 or 80 grit to shape the stone and then your final polish with cerium oxide brings it up to like 50,000 grit, which gives it like that mirror finish on there. So, as
Oh,
you go up to the higher grits, you're taking off less and less materials and getting rid of microscopic scratches on the surface to give it that kind of mirror finish.
that's interesting. So how did you learn to cut the stone? Did you learn from like a mentor? Did you watch videos on how to do it? Like how did you learn to go ahead and actually cut the rough?
So ever since I've been collecting, I've been wanting to cut stones for years, and I've watched a lot of like YouTube videos, like I love opals, so I love watching opal cutters on there, like Black Opal Direct and Pulitzer Opal, and then there's this guy Lapidary Dave that does a lot of videos on there of stone cutting. But I'm currently apprenticing over this guy George Sharos. He's like the somewhat retired head jeweler from Old World Jewelers in Swansea.
Okay.
So I go over there. He's got the machinery and stuff, and he's been teaching me how to cut stones. And I think that's really been helping me progress quicker than the average person whenever it comes to cutting cabs. Because like I'm actually getting to where I can cut some pretty good like collector's grade cabochons now, and it's all thanks to him.
That's actually really cool. I I didn't know you got into the cutting aspect of it just yet. I knew you were dabbling more. I knew you were experimenting more and like learning more stuff.
Oh yeah,
I don't think I realized, or I know you post about it a lot, and I try to like it every time I see it come on my page, but I don't think I put two and two together that you are actually taking this rock and cutting it and forming it and molding it and shaping it and actually doing all that.
yeah.
That's a whole different level of artwork. That's insane. That's actually really cool and something to be really proud of.
I love it, man. I want to be able to
Yeah.
be involved in like every single process of the jewelry production. Like like the only two things I'm missing from having a hand in everything that happens is, once I get into soldering and fabricating, I can like melt my own components and pull my own wire and stuff like that from scrap wire. And then once I go out and mine my own stones from the ground, then that'll be like the full process of like from the stone coming out of the ground to the finished piece of jewelry. There's literally no middleman and me doing everything.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Right on. Well, I'm super proud of you for that. That's actually a really it's kind of crazy, like being your friend for so long and seeing you get started in it and then see where you're at now. It's actually a really it's like a different sense of pride. You know what I mean? Like obviously I like
Yeah.
the familiar pride, like like the mom, the dad, the son or whatever, like being proud of you as a child, like your partner being proud of you, your kid being proud of you, like as your friend seeing you do this, like that's a whole different sense of pride where it's like, damn, dude, like you're killing it. Like this is awesome.
Oh
That's
yeah.
pretty cool. I like
Thank
it.
you. I appreciate that. Thank
Of
you.
course. So the big question, obviously, that people have been anticipating here is you went to a vendor recently, right?
Oh man.
And it
Yeah.
was a different type of rave. It
Yeah.
was a
It
kinky
was a
rave.
Yes, it was a kink theme rave in St. Louis. It was
Okay.
originally supposed to be at the Mississippi Underground, but they literally changed the venue for it like 2 hours before the rave even started. I don't
I
know
heard that's
exactly
kind of
why.
common for raves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the, you always got to be on your toes whenever you go into a rave. But
Yeah.
it was a surprising turnout. Like a bunch of people came though, even with the 2 hour time change. People definitely were getting kinky over there. I went there with my buddy Canyon because it was my friend Canyon that also sells crystals and does wire apps and stuff. He invited
Okay.
me to go out there and kind of tag team vend with him at his table. Like we would sell some of
Hmm.
his stuff and some of my stuff, so we could have all together a better setup. And we were set up right across from a spanking station. So yeah, that was
I'm
we saw a
sorry, a
lot of people get
what?
spanked. Yeah, a spanking station. There was
Okay.
some leather cats of nine tails, some paddles and stuff, and there was a spanker there. If anybody wanted the spanker to spank them, or if they wanted one of their friends to spank them and use the tools, that was an option. There were these two absolute legends that were there. It was a guy and a girl. They were maybe their late 30s, early 40s. You could tell they've been doing this a while.
All
And
right.
he was spanking her for a good 25 minutes, just straight, just it got to the point where people that were walking by the tables to go to the show were then walking back by the tables and turning their head to me like, is this still the same chick? I'm like,
Oh my God. What a fucking beast she is.
Oh yeah.
I got
I don't know what her name
Negan
was,
smacked me with
but
the
shouts
belt by
out to her.
accident. Negan hit me with the belt by accident the other day, and I broke down in tears almost. And he's just like, I'm so sorry I didn't mean to hit you. And I was like, I now know that that is not my kink.
No. It was the cat of nine tails too. It was like one of those leather whips that had all the different little froopty doopties coming off of it, and yeah.
Oh, oh, so
Hmm.
like almost like a tassel kind of looking
Yeah.
thing, but obviously all
Yeah,
out of
like a
leather
tassel
and
whip.
massive.
Yeah. And there were times where he'd be going a little softer. It'd be like bah, 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 bah. Like he was really laying some smoke on there for a while.
So what were some of the other crazy things that you saw at this vendor?
So nobody came out there in full fur suits, but there were
Okay.
definitely a couple people that went there that had like the leather dog mask, and
Yeah.
a lot of people had leashes, but they had leashes too with the full leather dog and the paws and stuff, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, it was really interesting seeing some of like the old timers that were there because like
Yeah.
like I have my kinks here and there, but I'm not in like the kink scene at all by any means. And apparently, the St. Louis kink scene is coming back a little bit. So it's really weird going out there and seeing like the old guys that you can tell have just been doing coke and slaying dragons since the '80s. Like
Yeah.
it was a good mix.
I used to be really good friends with this girl who um had she had an interest in butt plugs that had a fur tail attached to them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so she would use said device and have like the tail hanging from it, but she actually had clothing that would go around this tail so she could go out in public and wear the tail and nobody knew that this is actually up
It
her
was actually
ass
a
the
display.
entire
That's
time.
amazing.
Yeah.
Hats
And
off to her.
I'm not one for those toys. I mean, I haven't experimented enough in those, I don't think. But I don't think I'd ever get to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna wear this out in public so you see I have a tail sticking out of my ass and I want you to wonder the entire time where it's going. I don't
Right?
shame anybody who does it because to be that comfortable with it and like living your life, that's fantastic. And I am so happy
Mm-hmm.
for you and I'm envious of you for that, right?
Oh yeah.
But how did you get to that level is what I want to know because like I want to be comfortable to an
Well, my thing
extent like
too is
that.
like you've got to be a real professional to have a butt plug in your ass and not be walking like a penguin. Like I don't know how you could have that in there and not be walking kind of funny where it's obvious.
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely be the one who's waddling. I would be
Mm.
waddling.
Looking like a penguin trying to hold its egg.
I would, dude. I just know I would. I haven't done it, but there's just things that you know about yourself, and I just know myself enough to know that I would definitely be walking around like that. What's up, Vincent? Welcome on in. No, this is not my partner. This is actually one of my dear friends, Connor. We are talking about how he went to a vendor recently to sell some jewelry, and it was a kink vendor or a kink rave. It was a rave that he was a vendor at, and it was a kink themed rave. That's what we were talking about. That was so much. I could not get the words out of my mouth just now.
Try to say kink theme rave 5 times real fast.
Yeah,
That's a
no,
little
I don't think
difficult.
I don't even think I could say kink 5 times fast. Okay, I stutter enough as is. So trying to get me to say something super fast is like not happening.
No, I'm always a mush mouth as it is. I cannot talk fast. I'm always amazed by people like Buster Rhymes and stuff like that that can rap like 30 words per second. I'm like, dude, I can
Yeah,
barely get
no,
a sentence out in 30
I
seconds.
can't even sing his verse and look at me now without fumbling over my own teeth.
It's just gonna
Um,
sound like I'm speaking in tongues.
right, exactly. I mean, that song's been out for like what over a decade, and I still can't do it. I not going to stop
No.
me from trying.
Yeah,
I
it's not gonna
can't do
stop you
it
from
though.
practicing for 5 minutes every day in front of the mirror.
Yeah, exactly,
Still not
100%.
any closer.
So, what were some other things that you saw at this vendor? We'll go on. We'll talk about this a little bit longer here. We'll see.
Um,
What was your favorite
there
part
was
of it?
there was a guy that bought a crystal pipe from me who he was like late 40s, early 50s, and he had this chick that was like maybe in her early 30s on a leash. And yeah, they
Yeah.
bought the crystal pipe for me and my friend. And she seemed like she was in character because she acted like she didn't know like how to use the pipe or anything like that. So he had to like show her how to do it. And she was just acting really ditzy, like she was in character. So that was interesting. And yeah, just a lot of people very scantily clad and just being as the kinkiest them that they could be. A lot of people with face paint and stuff like that. There's
Yeah.
this one girl that had like, I don't know if you remember like Princess Leia's dress,
Hmm.
like whenever she was Jabba the Hutt's slave, but she was wearing something that kind of looked like that.
Right on.
Somebody had
I mean, I would wear that. Maybe.
someone had like a zipper on their face right here and going down where it was zipped up. There was like all rainbows and stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
that's
a lot
kind
of
of
cool,
cool.
interesting folks there.
Do you think that
I
that
wasn't on the dance
atmosphere?
floor too much. I was like at my table vending a lot. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of kinky stuff that happened on the dance floor by like the performances that I wasn't seeing, but I saw plenty just
Do
even being
you
at the vendor row.
do you think this was a vendor where you saw people like the happiest though? Do you think it
Oh
was
yeah,
like genuinely?
yeah.
Because I've noticed I haven't been to like kink raves, but I've definitely been in like bars and stuff. Hi, cool Schmo. Welcome on in. Nice to see you here. I've definitely been to like bars out in St. Louis and stuff where I have seen like the um just people being like more open, like wearing collars or leashes
Yeah.
out in person. You know what I mean? Like the late nights. There's a bar. It's called the Black Cat. I want to say out in St. Louis.
Okay.
That's a really popular scene for those who are like in the BDSM community. And when I say in the BDSM community, I mean like actively in the BDSM community. And like when they're out there, it's like a safe space for them where like so some kinks and dynamics that people have, like the standard dom and sub kind of dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Every situation's different, but the generalized one is that you have a dominant person, submissive person, and like you're almost in character. You're like role playing the scenario.
Yeah.
And when they go to this place, so this bar, it's not it's like a place where they're able to continue that role play that they keep in their home and they're able to do it out in public comfortably and be accepted. And I've met some of the coolest people there that have been so genuinely happy. And there actually was one couple that we became Facebook friends for a while. Um and then some racist crap happened, but that's besides the point. But before that, they were cool and they put on like this whole different persona like on Facebook, right? To where when
Hmm.
they posted stuff on Facebook, I forgot for a second where I knew these people from. And I was like, wait, I'm like, that's not who I met at the bar. So when they're at the bar, though, in this safe space, they were able to be out and open and welcoming of their dynamic that they had. And it was a really cool experience for me being somebody. I was just there with a friend, the same friend with a
Yeah.
butt plug, actually. The same friend. But it
Of
was a
course, it's got to be
cool
the butt plug friend.
it's the butt plug friend, yes. But it was a really cool experience because you meet these other people that are like eccentric and like out there and living their truth and having their best life and you're having drinks with them and hanging out and stuff. And it's just they genuinely seem like super, super happy to be able to play this out with them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Mortal, thank you so much for the resub. I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well and I miss you so much. Um but yeah, so I mean that's my experience that I've seen with it of like
Oh
the
yeah.
BDSM community or the kink community like out in public as well.
So, are
Um
you familiar with the concept of like shadow work?
Shadow work. In what aspect?
So it's a term used in witchcraft where like you get more in tune and you understand more the aspects of your quote unquote shadow self, which would fall into
Yes.
the realm of like people's
Yes.
kinks and stuff like that.
I
And
feel
people that
like
feel like they
Esme
have to
has
hide
mentioned
these
that before
things.
actually. I feel
Yeah,
like Esme
and I
and I have
feel
talked
like
about that
having
briefly.
these places and these events where they feel safe to kind of live that out and see like-minded people in that way, I think is a form of people doing their shadow work where it's like,
Yeah.
there's a saying of like if you aren't like in touch with your shadow can like control you or overtake you or anything like that. So, you're a much more well-rounded person whenever you are whenever you can get in tune with your quote unquote shadow self. And that's actually kind of the concept I use behind like the name of my company. So, it's funny how
Yeah.
that all like just ties in and stuff like that.
Um, oh my God, I was just going to say something too. I was trying to respond to somebody in chat, like let them know I saw they were here and I appreciate them coming on in. My friend Jordan actually makes a really good point here. So I try not to kink shame, right? I
Yeah.
don't down anybody for, what they do. Um, I feel personally a lot of our personal experiences, especially if you have like childhood trauma or traumatic events happening throughout your life, they do definitely play a role in what our desires are, or what essentially gets us off, or like what's
Oh yeah.
comforting, or like the kinks of it and the aspect of that. However, Jordan does bring up one that is a strange one for me to understand, about the people who they dress up like a baby and they wear diapers and they suck on a pacifier
Oh
and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, I did have a quick story about that. There was a guy that I wouldn't even say that I dated in high school because I wasn't allowed to date. As May can tell you, my stepdad was strict. Okay, strict. It was
Uh-huh.
bad. Speaking of childhood trauma. Anyway, um, but there was a guy, and they might actually know this person too. But I'm not gonna name drop him. We dated, okay, and I use that lightly, back when I was in high school, and he confided in me one time that he really liked if I wore pigtails because it made me look like I was a younger girl. And then a later on time, he confided in me that it was, he had like this kink of like not me actually being a baby, but the idea of being in a diaper and stuff like that. And so obviously I broke things off because I was like, this is weird. I don't even know what sex really is at this point. I'm like 15.
Good move.
Right, right, right. Um, it's strange to me because it's like, so we can kind of tie in, like I said, childhood trauma or traumatic events in general into like a relation with our kinks, right?
Hmm.
So when somebody confides in you that that is one of their kinks, wouldn't that, like, in your opinion, because I know my opinion on this, for me, it would seem really concerning to me, where I'm like, okay, in all seriousness, who hurt you? You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Oh
And then
yeah.
also, um, absolutely not. And I would definitely seek a therapist on this because I would feel like that is a concerning one. Like I'm all for if you
Oh
want to
yeah.
dress up as like a furry character or something, or if you have like a really taboo kink as CNC. I get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't I think that is like the one kink where it's like I'm not necessarily gonna shame it, but I'm genuinely concerned for those who have that kink.
Oh yeah.
You know
Well,
what I'm
it's like
saying?
the main thing with everything, like number one, out of no matter what you're into, needs to be consent. You know, and
Yeah,
the fact that somebody is in some would say that they're in some way attracted to the mindset or look or whatever of somebody who cannot give consent, that's like instant red flag. I'm Chris Hansen, have a seat right there to the max.
exactly. Exactly. That one is a very, like I said, it's super. Jordan made a comment saying like, like I'm all for kinky things, but not that. That's like an immediate turn off. And like I said, I'm not trying to shame people for wanting to express things, but I feel like if you find yourself being attracted to that idea, then that really is like, you really should seek like actual professional help on that one, and like talk to somebody about that, because I don't feel like that is a normal, like, I mean, even saying like furries may not be a normal thing, right? But like
Oh
that,
yeah.
that is like really, really not normal, and actually like
Oh
very,
yeah.
very concerning.
Well, because it's crossing that line that never needs to be crossed. Because again, the whole thing with kinks is it needs to be something between consenting adults. So I think that any kink that even kind of
Right.
blurs that line at all, it's just a no go for me. And
Right.
even like again, anything in that direction that in any way blurs that line is just not something I think people should even be entertaining in their mindset because
Right.
there's so many things out there to be into. Like there's
Yeah.
literally so many things out there
So
to
many
be into.
things.
Go explore one of those.
The other one that I mentioned, I'm not sure if you were familiar with it, but for chats, if you guys aren't familiar with it, it's called CNC. So it's consent, not consent. So basically, it is
Mhm.
a foreplay role of a word I'm not going to say.
Yeah,
And that one, people feel like, that's like tiptoeing the line, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like that one is more so from what I've read or what I've, because I do my research on some of this stuff because I'm just interested in learning how
yeah,
the mind works and, being a victim of the hard R myself. Um, I explore a lot of things just to learn my mind better too.
yeah,
And so that one I feel like is like, well, it's literally in the title consent, right? So like
yeah.
there's dynamics, there's rules, there's what they call like people joke about a safe word. There are actual safe words that couples use with each other when
Oh yeah.
something is too intense for them, you know? So that one I
Hmm.
don't feel like is tiptoeing the line as much as other people may think because they don't know more about
Yeah,
it. I feel like that's like the only kink that like I am completely against is the whole dressing up as a baby or you know
yeah.
I have
Well,
seen
with the
the
CNC thing too, I can see how like how with certain people it could bring some sort of catharsis too, because another whole dynamic in I guess the whole kink, whatever you want to call it, that a
yeah,
lot of people misconstrue that aren't into it is the power aspect of it. Like in a dom sub relationship, for example, most people on the outside that aren't into kinks or whatever at all like that think that the power dynamic between a dom and a sub is that the dom has power over the sub, whenever
it's
really that's
not.
just what it looks like on surface level. The
Yeah,
sub is the one
isn't
giving consent
the
to the
sub
dom, and
is
if the
in
dom doesn't have
complete
consent, a
control.
good dom's not going to do anything. So in reality,
Exactly.
the power is with the sub. And if
Exactly.
you
That is
translate it into CNC, somebody who had a bad experience with that in the past, now they're able to control this experience where, yeah,
yeah.
it's happening, but it's a situation that they have all the control over because
Yep.
literally one word from them and everything stops. So I
Exactly.
can see why I understand it on that aspect for people.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that dynamic of the dom and the sub and clarifying because you are absolutely right. When people think of a dom and a sub, they think that the dom is in complete control of everything. And it's not though. The sub is
Nope.
the one who is in control of everything all the time. It's just how it is. As soon as you are in
Yep.
that go mode of it, it's like if the sub is okay with this is what we're doing, but one word. They just have to say one word. And if that happens, it's done. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like that's it. They stop. There is no pushing for it because then they've built that trust with that partner though, where they know that if I say this word, that it's done. Like they're not going to push
Yeah.
those boundaries. So they've established that relationship and that connection and that trust with each other where they're comfortable doing this and they actually enjoy that because like you said they get to actually be in control of the situation.
Yeah.
It's
And
really
I feel like
interesting
that's
when
the
you
way you
dive
can
deep into
tell.
kinks. It's really
That's
interesting when you
that's
dive
I
deep.
feel a good telltale sign of someone who's like who says they're into kinks and someone who's actually into kinks is because like somebody who is acting like they're into it and doesn't actually understand it is going
Yeah,
to be the person that's like, no, it's me, you do it. It's the
yeah.
fedora hat wearing edge lords you see on 4chan.
Oh God, or the ones that are on like
Those
TikTok
kinds of
that make the fake
kinky
videos of
people.
they call them fake doms because they're fake
Yeah.
doms.
Exactly.
You're
But
you're
it's
not a
crazy that
dom.
there's some people where it's not like you see these things and you think it's satire sometimes, and you're like, no, there are people that are actually that fucked up in their heads
Yeah.
about this.
Because they have it in their mind that it's like, okay, I'm the dom. I like being in control, like blah, blah, blah. You do what I say, yada, yada, yada. Fuck this, fuck that. Okay, at that point, you're not actually a dom. We have a different word for you, and you should go seek a professional.
Or
You
both.
should go or that or that, you know. Yes, Snarky, the fedora. It is the guys that typically wear fedoras that are making these videos that are the fake doms.
The
100%.
miladies.
100%. Milady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Charby, excuse me. Oh my gosh. I had a F3 energy and I just had like a really gnarly burp, but it wasn't like a bad aftertaste kind of burp. So I'm gonna add that to the pros list of that.
There you go. There's nothing
I'm
worse
testing.
or ones that you can really feel in your nose.
Yeah,
Ooh.
like that burn the nostrils. No, this one I actually
Hmm.
it's a new energy drink, or I don't know how new it is, but it came out recently or it became really popular, and it's F3. And I'll give them like a little shout out here. Oh wait, I don't know if you can really see it. There we
F3.
go. F3
Oh,
Energy. And I'm giving it a test run. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was hyping it up and stuff. And I was like, okay, is this actually good? Or are you guys just doing it to go ahead and promo sales and your code, whatever? So
yeah.
I'd never reached out for an actual promo code myself. I was like, I'm going to use my friends' codes. I'm going to get the thing. Shout out Iceman. Thank you for the code. Um, I went ahead and I got it, and I'm on Tropical Theory. And it's really good. It doesn't give me like the heart racing, palpitations that I would get from Red Bull. I in
I
my age
love Red
now,
Bull. That's my
dude,
Achilles heel
it
is Red
was
Bull.
it was my Achilles heel too, the blueberry ones. And the last few times I took it, I had nonstop anxiety. It would be like for over a 24-hour period, my heart would literally like it was hurting. It hurt
Yeah.
so bad from having just one. And I was
Oof,
like,
it's not good.
and it sucked because I love the taste of it. And so yeah, I'm giving it a try. So far, you don't have that fake sugary taste. You also don't have that diabetes taste from Monster, and no
Oh
heart
man.
palpitations like from Red Bull. So,
I used
and
to drink
this
Monster growing up. That was
I did
bad.
too. I did too, but it was horrible. So, so far so good. I might do a podcast on that next and give my honest review after I've tried all flavors. We'll see.
There you go.
Well, I have
What flavor is it
definitely.
you have right now?
This one is Tropical Theory. It's the blue one.
Okay.
You know, the Hawaiian punch, like the big jugs, the red and blue jugs, like
Yeah.
Hawaiian punch. It tastes like that actually. And
Dang.
it doesn't have like that fake sugar kind of aftertaste. Um, it's really good. This one, I think Negan's not a huge fan of it because he doesn't like mango. And
Hmm.
so he had like a weird like mango taste like to him. He picked up on it real well because he doesn't like it. Um, So maybe that's why I like it so much because I love mango and he hates it. Maybe that's what it
Okay.
is. So there is, if you're not a fan of mango, then probably don't get that one because apparently there is a mango taste. I did not notice it because I'm not super sensitive to it like my bitch boy upstairs. Um, let's see. Oh, Jordan had one more. I don't know if you have any insight on this one. This is one of the kinks where it's like I don't necessarily shame it. I think it's more of a power dynamic. Um, but it involves it's a golden shower or
Oh,
like
yeah.
I have seen some corn videos where they actually, in the mouth too, which is that's I mean it's gross. I'm be
Hmm.
honest. I'm not trying to shame anybody. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, if you're one of those people, if it works for you and your partners or partner, whatever it is, great. If you want to tell me about it so I can understand, I just feel like, I mean, like, it's different than like if I'm taking a shower, if me and Negan are in the shower and like, haha, I peed on your leg. You know what I mean? Like, we're in
Oh
the
yeah.
shower. Okay,
Yeah.
you're funny. That's good. Whatever. Haha.
It just
Um,
washes right off.
right. Like, it's whatever. You know how many times my kids peed on me? I don't care.
Yeah.
um, but the whole dynamic of it, like actually in the bedroom kind of thing, I don't understand it. I don't shame that one though. Like it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anything's wrong with you for it. I could see it being a power dynamic aspect. A definitely
Yeah.
like a control kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely make jokes about it, but I wouldn't shame
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I get
But
that. I would probably make a few jokes or something. But
now scat
yeah.
play, I'm sorry, I have to shame it. I'm sorry if we're talking about scat play, I am shaming it. That
Scat play
no,
like
like
poop.
yeah, no, I'm shaming it right here. Two girls, one cup, shame.
Again, I wouldn't shame it.
Oh, you
Cause like
got
if
oh
that's what you're into, that's what you're into. I don't think That one's not as concerning because I feel like that one is also, I could see that being a power dynamic kind of aspect.
Pee is at least sterile. You can get diseases from Dookie.
I'm
Dookie will
not
give you
saying I'm
diseases.
not saying that I feel like it's gross, and I'm not saying that I'm not into like, or I am saying that I'm not into it. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, if you're into it, cool. I don't want to hear about it though. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, just keep
No.
that part private, you know? Um,
Yeah.
but it's different than if you're coming to me telling me that you want your partner to dress up as a baby. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
that one is like,
that's a red flag too.
that's
I would
disgusting.
definitely rather hang out with the poop guy than the baby guy.
Yeah, exactly. I would. I would.
I'm
I
I'm not
was.
excited to hang out with either, but if I had to choose
No,
between the
if I
two, I'm
have to
hanging out
choose
with poop
between
guy.
the lesser evil, yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely that's a valid point. I was gonna
Because
say
the baby
touching.
guy, you still get poop because the baby guy is just gonna poop himself. So then
My
either
nose
way, you're
itches
dealing
so
with
bad.
shit. So you might as well deal with like an adult that's shitting.
My nostril itches so bad. Oh my god. I was gonna say touching base on the baby kink though. This is something I forgot to cover. I have found, aside from that guy, right, that we talked about,
Hmm.
there is the other aspect of it where I saw a video. There's like these videos that were going around of like my weird kinks or addictions or whatever. This
Yep.
girl would like to dress up as a toddler, sleep in a toddler bed. She wanted to have a passy or a bottle or something. And like the boyfriend was there, like taking care of her, but he flat out was like, dude, this is fucking weird. He's like,
Yeah.
it's really
And see, that's the thing
uncomfortable.
too, is like it's it's weird enough if like just you're into it. Okay. If just you're into
Yeah.
it, like I'm not gonna, I'm not shaming whatever. I definitely think it's a red flag, but for the sake of not shaming, I'm gonna say it's weird enough that you yourself are into it. But then like if you have a partner that sees that you do this and they're like attracted to that, I feel like that's also a
Yeah.
big red flag on that
That
partner
one,
too, because it's like, what do you got
yeah.
going on, dude?
That one is a being someone who's attracted to the kink, like it turns you on. That part is concerning, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like you might be a pedo, right?
Hmm.
But what I'm talking about is the girls or the guys who do it for themselves. I feel like those are more so like it's not that it's attractive to them, like it doesn't turn them on, it doesn't do anything sexually for them. That one, I don't know if you would consider that. I mean, it's still considered a kink
Yeah.
in a sense,
I,
but it's
I was gonna
like
say, I think that's a very fine line
it
too, because
is
I think if
because
you're just into it for like a comfort thing and it's not
yeah, I
sexual
think
at all,
that
okay.
I think that
Yeah.
dives more so into okay, you have some childhood traumas that
Yeah.
you need to heal. Like,
Because
obviously
I don't know
something
what
happened when
that
you were
would
a
be called,
kid.
but it's like, it's that type of therapy. It could be some sort of like immersion therapy. Okay. Like someone
Yeah.
just, if it's not sexual and they're just acting like a child for some sort of comfort thing, I think you could
Yeah.
call that immersion therapy. But as soon as it crosses into the sexual realm at all with that thing, I think that's just,
Yeah.
two wires that don't need to be crossed and
I
is
think
a red flag
that's
as
a good
soon as
point.
it gets sexual at
That's a
all.
good point. So to answer that
Yeah.
question, Jordan, it is if it is the person who wants to dress up for themselves and there's no sexual attraction, that's immersion therapy, we'll say. And then if it's for those who are actually sexually attracted to their partner dressing up as a baby or themselves as a baby, exactly, we have a cure for that. Um, we have a couple questions actually, or like opinions on questions here. So let's see here. Let's see. I'm amazed at the amount of kinks there are. I'm when you really start diving into it, there's a shit ton of them, really, because like you can be attracted like anything good. You could be attracted to the fact like, oh, I have a pencil sharpener kink. Like she's sharpening that pencil and now I got a boner. You know what I mean?
Rule
Like
number 34.
I believe it. Okay. We're gonna
Rules of the internet. Rule number 34, there's a porn for everything. So that
there
means there's a kink for just about
there
everything.
is. There really is. If you have not, I strongly suggest exploring one day and going to look at all the different categories and then go into the search bar and just start typing a random word. And I promise you, a video will pop up.
Oh yeah.
I
And
promise you.
anybody that grew up with the internet like we did, especially in the early wild west stages of the internet, you've
Yeah.
probably seen some shit. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's just like scratching the surface of the shit that's out there.
Let's see here. There's a huge difference in scat play versus eating ass. Yes,
Yes, I
there
agree.
is. There is.
Yes,
I
I'm an ass eater
personally,
myself, so I will advocate for eating ass.
I think every guy in my chat right now is an ass eater. Unless Tubbsy is still here, then I know for a fact Tubbsy does not eat ass.
And, I mean,
And
now
Negan
there's
doesn't eat
different
ass
types of
either.
ass too. Okay, I don't eat like 8-hour shift ass. I
No,
would
probably
prefer to
like
eat like
freshly
fresh out the
showered.
shower ass. Yeah, you don't
Right.
want to eat
Okay.
no 8-hour shift ass.
I feel like that's the same as eating pussy though. Like you don't want to go ahead and like, I mean, well,
See, if there's a little bit of a patina on the pussy, I'll still eat it.
yeah, there are some guys
Pretty
that
good
are
to have
like
a day.
they like some of the guys are just like I want to taste how your day was, and I'm just like, well, that's
Yeah,
a weird
because
way to
if you
put
have
it.
good hygiene regularly, just 8 hours, that pussy's still edible. It hasn't
Right. I'm
gone
like,
bad
oh, okay. No, I don't.
yet.
I don't like near the booty. I just I don't know what it is,
It's
unless
not for everybody.
like really in the mood. Then I'm like, I don't care. Like, what do you want to do? Like
And
how you
see,
feeling?
alcohol will make things different too.
It does. It
I feel like a
does.
lot of people have changed their minds after one night of alcohol and booze.
They do. They do. And then like you wake up the next day and you're like, what did I agree to last night?
I guess this is my life now. I'm an ass
uh,
eater.
let's see here. Oh, I have to scroll up a bit. Chat is like popping off here for a second. Okay. So as far as like baby play goes, right? So we've discussed our opinion on baby play.
Thumbs
What is
down.
right? What is the opinion on littles? I don't know too much about littles, but I feel like littles is like that, isn't it like a child-esque
Yeah,
vibe?
it's literally just baby play, but they're not babies. They're old. They're older,
Older?
but still not old enough. Still weird. Still crossing wires that don't need to be
Right.
crossed.
So like I feel like if it's like a play on like a dynamic that you do and you're like, the whole aspect of like taking care of your partner or
Yeah.
like caring for them, like that's okay. I feel like the second that it becomes sexually arousing to you, that's when it should be concerning of there's no reason why taking care of a child should arouse you. Like no reason at
No.
all. There's no
No.
reason for
Anybody who's
this.
actually taking care of a child should know that it is not an arousing thing.
It's not. They're
Jesus.
assholes and they're annoying.
Right?
Yeah, that's
And it's
it.
like because
Yeah.
they're supposed to be. They're kids. They're supposed to be little
Yeah.
assholes, dude.
Exactly. I think that if it's the dynamic of like taking care of your partner kind of stuff like that, I think that's okay. I think when it becomes arousing though, that's when it's concerning, and
Yeah.
that's a
Uh,
line
uh,
crossed.
Again, whenever you're in any mindset whatsoever that involves somebody that is not of a consentable age and you put any sort of sexual aspect in that is whenever it is just a no for me personally.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think should be a no for anybody that has like, a soul and any sort of wits about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan says, I mean, childhood trauma makes sense of some of my kinks. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, there's a
Oh
direct
yeah.
link
And,
to your
and even
childhood.
not and even not trauma. I mean, like one of my major turn-ons is goth girls and stuff like that. And what cartoons did I watch growing up? You had Shigo from Kim
Oh yeah.
Possible, you had Raven from Teen
I'm
Titans.
telling you right now, though, the Hex Girls from Scooby
I was
Doo and
just about to
Esme,
say
I'm
that.
telling you right fucking
Yeah.
now, Esme is one of the Hex Girls. And I have said that about them since
Oh
the
yeah.
fucking day I've met them. That's all I think of when I think of Esme, is I think of Hex Girls. I'm like, she a
Yes.
bad bitch.
Yes.
I'm telling you guys, his
Uh,
wife is like fucking smoking hot. Like, ugh. Especially when they get up and all the get up and they do the dramatic eyes and shit. And I'm just
oh
like,
yeah.
questioning my sexuality.
They do their makeup better than honestly anybody I've really seen. Like
Oh my
they
god,
they do it
dude.
up,
I'm
man.
telling you. I'm telling you. Esme is the
I need
shit.
somebody out there, that
Ugh.
has a makeup shop or whatever. Somebody needs to discover them because they're very talented
Dude,
in that realm of things. It's
I
it's just
really,
like me with being a benchular. I just don't have the little piece of paper from a college saying that I can do it.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
But everybody that
Snarky.
is hiring wants that little piece of paper that's a certification that you paid way too much money for.
I feel like that's becoming less and less common though. for a lot of things. It is
It
becoming
depends on
less
the
and less
industry.
common. It does depend on
It
the
depends on
industry.
the industry
It
big time.
does. Yeah.
Because a lot of
As
them,
far as
like with mine,
cosmetics
for
go, you
example, it's
have to
all
have a
about who you,
degree.
yeah,
As
like
far
for
as
my
cosmetics
industry,
go,
it's
you have
all
to.
about who you know. You know, if somebody like me, I'm gonna go to the new approach school in I think Tennessee next year, and after that I'll have like my bench jeweling degree and all that.
Yeah.
But that's because I didn't grow up with somebody in the jewelry industry. If you grew up with somebody in the industry, an aunt, uncle, mom, dad, or something, you don't need any schooling because you're already going to be behind a bench by the time you're 13 years old.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hi, big
Yeah.
time. Sorry I didn't get to say hi to you. We're running through chat here. Let's see here. Papa says I'm not trying to eat ass after a workout from the gym. I think we kind of all agree to that part. Snarky says
So,
in relevance to the goth girl aesthetic, Danny Phantom is another one. Danny Phantom's another one. Yes,
yep.
absolutely.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
there was a good question that Jordan had actually. She wants to know what's a normal kink for you versus one you just find outrageous.
I mean, obviously the ones we were talking about earlier are
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
outrageous to me.
I
Um,
think the baby play is the one
yeah.
kink where I'm completely against. If that's arousing to you, I'm against it. That's
Um,
completely uncalled for. Yeah.
not to shame other valid kinks, but one that I really just don't really get and don't fuck with is like, the whole furry kink. That's a little just out there for me and
Yeah,
doesn't
I
really
don't
do
really
anything for
understand
me.
that one. I wouldn't
No.
I personally I'm not against it. I think some of the get-ups that people have like the actual costumes, I think they look cool,
Yeah.
but I don't find it arousing or how
No.
I don't
I'm
personally,
just
yeah.
more interested in like how much work went into your suit. Like that's
Yeah.
all sexual things aside, the people that like make these suits from scratch are actually really impressive to
Oh
me from
yeah.
like an artist standpoint of it. So
Yeah.
kudos to him for that.
Yeah,
But some
absolutely.
things I guess I would be into is like you know bondage and stuff like that. I'm really turned on
Yeah.
by that. Wax play. Wax play is very fun. Um,
I've heard about that one. I've seen things about that one. I haven't partook in that, but it's funny you bring that up because when people, this is just a PSA, if you are interested in experimenting with wax play, please buy the appropriate wax. There is specific wax made for wax
yes.
play that burns, it melts at a different temperature, it doesn't scald your skin. If you use a regular candle, you are going to hurt your partner or yourself. So please,
Yes.
please, please buy the appropriate wax.
And if it's a candle that has like any scents or anything or extra chemicals in there, that could like infect the burn too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So do your research. If you're going to experiment carefully, wisely, this just do your research
Yeah.
because you don't want to hurt anybody because you want to experiment and decide based on the experiment like if you like this or not, you know what I mean? You don't want
Oh
it to
yeah.
be a horrifying experience because you may actually be into it, but you've just missed out on this whole opportunity because you didn't do your research properly beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
100%.
not so much anymore because I don't do psychedelics nearly as much as I used to back in the day, and my
Oh
partner
yeah, you
doesn't
and
do
Esme were big
psychedelics.
on psychedelics. I remember
But
that.
some of my best like sexual memories in all of my days are like mixing with psychedelics because whenever it's just a whole different experience whenever you mix that with it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and then just I guess I have a little bit of like a praise kink too. Like I'm not one of those people that get turned on by being like degraded and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's the opposite for me. I like being praised, I guess, is
yeah.
one thing that kind of gets me off. And then the main thing though is nothing gets me off better than getting my partner off and having and my partner being like receptive to, and like if you're looking down and they don't seem like they're enjoying themselves as much, that's that then I'm out of it. Like
That
looking down
is
and seeing them being in their own little world, absolutely enjoying the experience is what does it more than anything for me.
so that is what is referred to in a sense as a pleasure dom. So if you guys don't know what a pleasure dom is, you get off to getting your partner off. There are
Yes.
guys, women, I'm telling you right now, if that is something that you are interested in, please, there are men out there that do this. They aren't stopping until you are there and then some. Okay. Dad, I really hope you're not listening to this podcast. If you have been listening, you're going to want to tune out right now. And that goes for any other family members that are here and they don't want to hear this. Skip over this. I just had to put that out there real
Anybody
quick
that
because there
knows
will
me
be.
that's watching this should already know that I was going to talk about at least
I
something
just
made
don't
up at
want
some
my
point.
dad hearing this. That's it. My dad listens to all my podcasts. He tunes in. I did give him a warning last week. He's not going to want to listen to this one, and I'm not going to be offended by it. But I will say that is something with my partner now that has been fucking life changing. Also, sorry, my ex husband is in the chat, and I'm sorry. It's nothing against you. You're probably not going to want to listen to this part either. But um, I will say, if I were to sit here and put a label on the dynamic in this household, it is definitely the standard dom sub, aspect of it. I am not a submissive person. I'm not. I'm a strong-willed bitch, and I don't take any shit. But there is one person on this earth that I am completely fucking submissive for. Ask me for anything, I will move heaven and earth for them. And not just in the bedroom aspect, like in life itself, and that is Negan. And Negan is definitely what we would call a pleasure dom. It is definitely a thing where it's like, if he sees that I am enjoying myself, it's like, oh my God, like it's just a fucking the beast mode is activated, fucking all sorts of primal instincts are kicked in. That
That's
one.
the perfect word too. I love that word.
That
Primal.
one, primal
Yep.
and prey. That one is a very interesting dynamic. Very interesting. But yes, that is, I have to say, also, this is not a hickey on my neck. I just scratched myself. I'm so sorry, guys. Um, the irony, we're talking about kinks and like it
Right.
looks like I have a
You don't
hickey
have
on
to
my
lie
neck.
to him. We're already talking about
No,
kinks.
that was like 2 weeks ago I had one on my neck. But this, I have such sensitive skin. It's so awful. Everything
I got
shows
that
up.
bad.
The eczema flares up in the wintertime too.
Dude, I
Um,
was just about to say that. My legs get so itchy in the wintertime.
oh dude, you don't even gotta tell me about it. It's like that's my genes too. It's like my kids have it. And so they
Yep.
get that. They get that from me. Poor
Me and
kids.
Esmeralda both have it, so Silas definitely has it.
Yeah.
The back of his poor little arms.
Yeah, it's horrible. Hydrocortisone actually. There's
Okay.
a strong percentage of hydrocortisone. Um,
And I think witch
that
hazel is
I'll
one too, isn't it?
Witch hazel helps too. I will send it to Esmeralda actually. There's a strong percentage of hydrocortisone you can get over the counter. It comes in tubs. That actually helps a shit ton with eczema
Hell
during
yeah.
the winter. Yeah. Um, that's a different fucking podcast, different day, or different conversation
Right.
for later today. Who knows?
There are so
Back
many tangents I could go off on for
Right, I
hours.
know, I know. I knew this was gonna happen with us. I really did. Let's see here. I'm gonna scroll on up. Jordan said talking, choking and spanking. Jordan, I need you to elaborate on that message so I can actually relay that in the conversation here. But yes, fun fact also, so I'm gonna educate you guys. If you have never done the choking before and you come across a partner who is very interested in it, there is a specific way to do it, though. The idea is to cut off blood flow, not air circulation. So it's right around here, not the windpipe. We're not asking you to crush our windpipe so we can't breathe. We're asking you
For
to
my men
choke
out
it.
there,
Right,
all the pressure
exactly.
should be
It's
here.
You want to
No
cut off the
pressure
blood
here,
flow a bit.
really. All the pressure needs to
Exactly.
be there in the fingertips. You don't want to push it down. You just want to get there and eat.
Again, that is just it. We're just educating you so you guys can have safe sex, okay? Because we want you to have fun and
And if
experiment. You
and if you're
know.
gonna experiment with choking, here's another thing too. Experiment with a partner. Find a partner who wants to experiment with you and experiment
Yes.
with them. Do not
Yes.
experiment with choking by yourself because I have seen too many, I'm sorry the people
Asphyxiation.
died, but I've seen too many hilarious photos on Google of what's called autoerotic asphyxiation. And
Yep.
if you haven't seen that before, give that a Google search and then you'll know why you need a partner if you're going to experiment with choking.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Yes, Mortal. I was getting to yours next. So sorry about that. Um, Let's see. Do you prefer body massage or feet massage? So, fun fact, I hate feet play. I'm not knocking it if that's what you're into, but I personally do not want you to touch my feet. I don't. Now, if Negan came to me and told me that he desperately wanted to touch my feet, I'll let him. If he wants to give me a foot massage every once in a while, I do like when he rubs my feet because my feet hurt. Do not kiss my feet. Do not suck on my toes
No.
because it makes me feel weird. It's the weird feeling
Yeah.
on my feet and the ticklishness. It's just like obviously if that's something he's really into, then I'll compromise. I'll give it a try a couple times and see if this is something that I can, get into for him. But don't ask me to do it to you. Please
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I will, but like don't. Please. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh yeah.
it's yeah, I do like the body massage, but to be fair, the two times I wanted a body massage, I got pregnant and I'm not trying to have any more kids. So I would like a body
Yeah.
massage that doesn't end in pregnancy.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yes.
I love giving massages too, but like every time I give a massage, it's like, can't. This isn't what how I wanted it to end. I
Yeah.
thought I just wanted it to end with a massage, but I don't because as soon as you get down to the butt, it's game over for you mentally. You're not focused on the massage anymore. You're
Yeah.
focused on the butt.
Yeah, because then you're seeing the juicy booty and then you're just like squeezing it. And then like when you get up top and you're on the shoulders, then you're pressing all up against it and shit. And then you're
Uh
like,
huh.
all right,
It's like a
cool.
wizard
So
with his crystal ball. You just
yeah,
start
you're
to
like, are
see
we
the
ready
future of
to go on to
shit.
the next step now?
And foot massages, man, my body and my feet be hurting, so I like receiving both. Um, but
Yeah.
see, you have to be good at giving a foot massage because you can't tickle. I absolutely hate being tickled
Yeah.
anywhere at all, but feet especially, I hate being tickled. So like, but bro, if like you can give a good foot massage and like pop the toes and everything, I love being popped. I'm a big popper. Like,
I am
uh, I
too.
pop everything.
I
So
wouldn't
like,
say like
if she
popping
can
is
like,
a
yeah,
it's not
Esmeralda
like
pops
a
my back so good
it's
too.
not like a it is euphoric, but not in like a I'm turned on kind of aspect. It's like a it just releases so much. Like I just sat
Yeah,
here and just popped on my fingers actually, and I was like, oh my God, my hands feel so good right now. Like I love
yeah,
it. I love a good back pop. Like if you can give me a good back pop, oh, it's
yes.
over with.
And
It's
I
over
love
with.
popping people too, dude. Like people who's
Yes.
like, there's nothing cooler than like somebody not even a sexual thing at all, but like somebody whose back is hurting super bad, and you're like, all right, come here, and you squeeze them, and you just feel that thing pop all the way down. You're like,
Oh
yep,
yeah. Yeah.
yep, I did that. You're
It's
welcome,
really
buddy.
difficult. It's really difficult to pop Negan's back. Negan actually puts his hands back behind and he is like a fucking bendy straw and he can like tilt all the way back and pop all the way down.
Yep.
Once every like 8 months, he'll have like this one spot that he can't get and it like kinks up a bit. And he'll have to like lay down on the ground and have me try and like dig it out with my heel.
Mm.
I've only been able to get it one time, but when I tell you when I got it out that one time, I was like, ain't nothing stopping me. I was like, I'm on top of this world. I accomplished something today. Yeah, for
Hell
sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, pops are just good. Not even sexually at all, but pops are
Yeah,
life, man.
yeah, they're good. They're good. Well, I think that's pretty much it. They're all diving into like feet massages and then
Right?
foot things and stuff like that. I don't think I personally had any more questions. Did you have any questions for me or for the community or for the pot? Like, did you have any questions yourself?
Uh, no, not exactly. I'm a blank slate, man. I have been just divulging. I haven't even been thinking of questions.
Yeah, yeah. It's
This
tough
has
to do
been fun though. This has
sometimes.
definitely been
It
fun.
has. It has been fun. I'd love to have you back on. Maybe we'll do like another little segue into kinks because the community seems to really love it. I got a bunch of freaks
Oh
in my
yeah,
community. They've all been
and
exposed.
there are plenty of other subjects I can go on for days about too. If anybody in the chat, if this sounds interesting to anybody in the chat, music like psytrance and stuff like that. If
Yeah.
y'all haven't heard of Spangle before, give Spangle a YouTube search, and that'll be a pretty good encompassment of my music taste. I love, like esoteric studies and stuff like that. Like I've been slacking on them a little bit recently, but I've been starting to learn Latin and I just love studying ancient religions and philosophies and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're a
So
big
I
weirdo.
think all that stuff's really cool too, and I could literally talk for
Yeah.
days about that shit. So if that sounds interesting to anyone, we could go into that too later.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on in today's episode. Before we do leave here, I wanted you to let everybody know where can we find you at, what socials, your handles, and if we wanted
Yeah.
to get any custom made jewelry from you, which by the way, guys, completely fucking affordable prices too. It's insane. You wouldn't even think it until you get a quote and then you're like, oh my God, only that much. Um, where can we find you if we want to place an order or if we wanted to go
Yeah.
ahead and look up your stuff?
So I need to get a website built so it's a little more user friendly. But
I
you
know
can find
somebody
me
that builds
on Facebook and
websites.
Instagram at Shadow Magic Gems and Jewelry, just all one word. And then I've been posting on TikTok, honestly, more than anything else recently because I've been trying to grow that following. I'm at about 750 followers right now, and once I get to 1,000, I can start doing live sales on there, which
Yes.
is what I really want to do. So TikTok is Shadow Magic Gems underscore Jewelry on TikTok.
Okay.
And if anybody's ever looking for anything, they can always shoot me a DM. Production has always been kind of the hardest thing for me, jewelry wise, is because having the time and the energy to wrap. But I'm really trying to up my production pendant wise. And then I've got literally a whole tray of cabs that I've cut and polished myself. And then my gem room's a mess right now, but like I've literally got gems and crystals and mineral specimens fucking everywhere. So if anybody's in need of anything to do with rocks, they can hit me up. I'm
There
an
you
open
go.
book. My customs list is probably going to be for the most part closed until after Christmas. But if anybody really wants something before then, they can hit me up and I can crank it out before then.
Perfect. All right. Well, I appreciate it, Connor. Thank you so much for coming out with us. I did
Thanks
want
for
to
having me
give,
on.
yeah, I did want to give a big shout out to my community too. We are yet again the number one podcast on Kick streaming for this is 11 weeks in a row now, guys. 11 weeks. And it has been an amazing 11 weeks. I've had a lot of fun with you guys. Um, I this has been great. So thank you so much for that. And with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow with our normal stream. And again, next Sunday, don't forget we do have a special guest. It is country music star Grayson Rogers. I will start dropping some of his links throughout stream throughout this week. We'll be listening to his music. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Connor, thank you so much for coming in and speaking with us. And
Thank you.
you'll have a great day.